Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Today we are learning Maseches Avodah Zara Daf Ayin Vav. Baruch Hashem, the final blot in the Masechta. We are about 2/3, almost 3/4 of the way down. Um, I have where I am over here. It says Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yosef Zavan Mana Demarda Me'Oved Kochavim. Give you a moment to find it. About 2/3 of the way down. Unless you have an Oz V'Hadar, the first word on the line trick doesn't work with Oz V'Hadar anymore. They messed all that up. But it's a little bit above Tosfos Magilim. So let's talk about this. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yosef Zavan Mana de Marda. He had this kli that was made out of Marda. Marda was something that was not something that we would have eaten out of. It was made out of earth and manure and hardened into a kli. And he got it from an Oved Kochav, Savar Lahat Bila. So he thought, I have to do Tfilas Kelim. I got a new kli. So it says the Gemara, Amar Lehu Me Rabbanon, Rabbi Yaakov Shemei. There was a Rav at that time, his name was Rabbi Yaakov. He said, L'didi mifer shali minei de Rabbi Yochanan. I heard from Rabbi Yochanan, Kli matachos amurin beparsha. Only metal. Which means that not everything requires Tfilas Kelim. So the big shaila that has come up in the poskim is plastic. We're pretty mako to not do any tefillah on plastic. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell because the materials that we have are so good. You can't always tell between plastic and metal. When there's a suffix, you don't make a bracha. Always ask shilas if you need to. What if something is metal on the inside coated in rubber? These are all great shilas. When I was in YU, Rabbi Yaakov Neuberger Paskin, that if you had dishes that had a shellac on them, like an enamel, you did not have to tefillas ken. Right here?
It's
Oh,
unbelievable. Right here,
top right?
all the shilas that come up.
Which Tosfos? Where?
Sofa. If it's mechuf and be'efer, let's say it's coated in lead,
Oh, yeah.
etc.
Yeah, that's going to come up right now in the Gemara, actually.
It's like everything right here.
Yeah. So he held the kula, and we've never done tefillas kelim on our wedding dishes. Every time we buy dishes that are shiny, which is most dishes that you buy, he holds that there's no chiyuv of tefillas kelim. Big kula. Amar Rav Ashi, Hani Kliz Chuchis. What about glass? Hol v'chinishtabru yeshlan takana, because they can always be melted down and fixed. Therefore, kikli matachos damo, they're similar to metal, and therefore tefillas kelim applies. That's how we paskin halacha l'maisa, that metal and glass get a bracha when we do tefillas kelim. Next, kunya, which is it's something that's made out of earthenware and it's lined with lead or some kind of metal. Doesn't sound very healthy if it would be lined with lead, but that is what it says. Pligi baravacha veravina chad amar kitchila. So first we look at the cheres component. The initial component was cheres. The chad amar kisofo, the final product, which is the fact that it's layered with lead. Hilchasa kisofo, we paskin that it is like the end product of the kunya with the lead, and therefore what is that halacha? So it's kisofo, it's like kunya, and therefore it would need to be tovelt because it's made out of metal, which is interesting. Okay, that's pretty much how we paskin. So let's say you have a kli that does it. We have a lot of kalim like this now. There are like some earthenware ones that have the shellac on the inside, that have gold laid on the inside. So basically, we try to be pretty machmir, minus the kula that I just shared from Rabbi Yaakov Neuberger. If you don't have a psak like that, don't follow it. Ask your local Orthodox rabbi. Last of the short lines on Ayin Hamid Beis. Ibailahu mashkanta mai. What about something that's left by you as a collateral? Amar Mar Barabashi. Mar Baravashi tells a story. Abba Mashkin Le Oved Kochavim Kasa de Kaspa. There was an Oved Kochavim who had left by his father a silver cup. Va'at B'lei, his father dipped it into the mikvah. He was tovel ishtibe, and then he drank out of it. V'lo yadana, but I don't understand. Was that because he held that which was collateral, it's as if it was already sold? Or or because he understood from the Oved Kochavim that his intention was lishkue, was to actually leave it there and not to redeem it. Rashi, 4 lines from the bottom, the shkue shelo liftos od. It was like one of those mashkantas, like, I'll leave my mashkanta by you until I come back. But it's kind of understood. He's never coming back. So, because otherwise, why could you use a mashkon at all? Like, why would you be able to utilize someone's mashkon? So he was trying to figure out the svara as to why he was allowed to utilize it. Fine. Tanu Rabbanon, 3 lines into the wide lines, on Ayin Hamid Beis. You have a kli that is taken from an of kochavim. Dvarim shalom nishtamish ben. If it's brand new, matbilin behin tahorin, you take it to the mikvah and they're good to go. Dvarim shenishhtamish ben aydeitzon. And if something had been used for the cold, kigon kosos, cups, kitonios. Kitonios are like ladles. The tzluchios are these kinds of flasks. Then madichin, first rinse them off, and then umat bein torah. Dvarim shenishtamish b'nai chamen, something that was used in very hot soup, whatever, could go in hayoros, pots, hakum kumusun, which is kettles of some kind, and things that were to heat up hot liquids or hot foods. First, magi'ilan, we do hagala, then umat bilan bein torah. Then you have to do tefillah. Again, only from a goy. If you're doing hagala in your own kelim, you don't have to do tefillah. We do hagala all the time on our Pesach, but you don't have to do tefillah afterwards. All you have to do is for us, all you have to do is kasher. You put it in the mikveh, that we don't have to do. Or what about things that are open by an open fire, a grill, whatever the case may be? Kigon says the Gemara Hashipud and Vahaskalos. This is talking about the skewers and the grills. So there, Malabnan umadvilan behin tahorin. There you have to do libun, and then you would take it to the mikvah, and then they will then be kosher. What if you use a kli be'isr? What if you use it before you kasher it? Remember, it's a kli from a goy. So what's the din? Tana chada aser, tana batana idach mutter. One says that what you did was aser. One says that what you did is mutter. And below kasher, there's no machlokas. Hakamand amar nosein tam lifgam aser. Hakamand amar nosein tam lifgam mutter. According to the shita that says nosein tam lifgam is always mutter. You know, it's not right what you did, but it's not an iser. You did something wrong. You shouldn't have done it. But if you say nosein tam lifgam is always aser, so then there's never a heter. Then what you did is aser prior to Hagala. It's completely aser. So let's get into this sugya a little bit more. Ulamanda Amar, 2 lines from the bottom, that no saying tam lifgam is mutter, according to the shita that holds that no saying tam lifgam is mutter. So then then what's the case bichlal where the kalim of ovdei kochavim by midyan required hagala? No saying tam lifgam is mutter. So then why would the Torah be matzrich you to go do hagala? So says the Gemara. Here's where we learn the famed principle. We've learned it in another frame as well, but this is really one of the primary mamakomas. We saw 10 bladi gozal. Amar Rav Huna lo asra Torah el kedera bas yoma. The lav no sein tam lifgam hu. The only time the Torah, this is even according to the shita that no sein tam lifgam is mutter, but that's only after 24 hours. If it's a bas yoma, if it's a ben yomo, then as Rashi points out, shebisha top line. Rashi diber maskil bas yoma shebisha ba'ovei kochavim hayom. Once the night has passed, the flavor has reduced. Then when the food later then comes out in the food of the tavshil acher, eno ela lifkam. And that's how we pask in the mice. That's what we do. We say anything that's a ben yomo is mamish. It's iser. It's iser. It's totally aser. Okay, is it batal b'shishim? You can find out that's a din b'di'evet. It's not a din l'chatchila. Can't use a milchik macaroni pot to make chicken soup in it within 24 hours. That's totally awesome. You do it l'chatchila, it's totally awesome. You do it b'di'evet, depends on bit of b'shishim. So that's what he says. That he holds that that nosein tam lifgam is only aser within the bas yoma period. Says the Gemara, mikan ve'elach lishteri, fine. But then once 24-hour passes, why do I have to do hagala? Nosein tam lifgam, it's not a ben yomo is mutter. That's a great shaila. Why would we ever have any isser whatsoever? Just wait 24 hours and everything's okay. Mamish chazer, doesn't matter.
The amazing thing here, it said 24 hours.
No.
We all say 24 hours.
We say 24 hours.
She said overnight.
Rashi
We saw yesterday the different times of year, whatever. We really, I think we count 24 hours.
Saying we're machmir on that.
Count 24 hours. Why are you saying that?
If he cooked it at 4 in the afternoon and I get up at 7 in the morning,
Why
it already was overnight according to Rashi. It's fine.
Why are you saying that? Why are you not saying 24 hours?
Overnight, it goes away. Esmol, anytime yesterday. So he cooks it at dinner time, and I get up for breakfast. It's overnight. It's already nosen tam lifgam. Seems like for Rashi. We for sure, I think we always
Look at the third line of Tosfos. V'chein piresh Rabbeinu Tam. Delina aslayla. Tosfos on the top, 3 lines down, into the Tosfos. V'chein piresh Rabbeinu Tam. Delina aslayla pogemes. Kilo haya derech b'yamim kadmonim levashel balayla. He never cooked at night. Which means that, what? Right. Kidamash prepare kama de brachos. The chol adam b'zeich lir b'lunas laila mikri avor tzurva v'dvarim kal v'chomer. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where. I mean, it's not from here, but I mean, it could be that the Rishonim here discussed this.
Further down, there's the Mishnah, the Bas Yoma Mashma Shadishal Hayom.
Okay,
Midoloka Amar.
but I think Lamaisa what?
Tosfos literally says Hayom, and it doesn't say Me'eslays, which is what we do, I think.
I think we do 20.
Look at Me'eslays.
We look at Me'eslays.
Right.
Which gives 24 hours.
Machmer tavo alav bracha.
This is unbelievable.
So it's a chumrah.
Right. As far as I always understand.
Looking at the Bas Yoma status as 24 hours is a chumrah. I wonder if that makes it into psak. Didn't even cross my mind. Didn't even cross my mind to read Rashi that way because I'm so acclimated to thinking it's 24 hours.
No, overnight, and which kind of yesterday, which kind of night.
Correct. That's true too. It's true too. That's true. But that was about a different sugya. That was about an ona for letting it run underwater.
Right.
You know, that was a little bit different. But... Okay, very good. So the Gemara says, Mikan ve'elech lishteri, after the 24 hours, once if you're part of the camp who holds those in tam lifgam is mutter, just usher during the Bas Yoma period. But once you hit 24 hours or whatever, the morning, then all is fine and good. So then why would you ever need to do Hagala? The Gemara says, Gzera Kdera She'ena Bas Yoma, Mishum Kdera Bas Yoma. It's Gzera Derabanan, you're 100% right. There's no Isser coming out of the pot after 24 hours. We'll use 24 hours for the sake of our dialogues because I think that's
all we understand.
I think that's how we understand that. I think that's how we hold. I have to look back in my notes now. I'm sure I have this from back in the day.
Imagine that.
Right.
We all know it.
Right. We're learning Torah, bro. Relax. Everything's great. This is a Gevaldic conversation. So then says the Gemara Ve'idach, what about the other Shita who holds that that no Saint Tam Mifgam is always Aser? Kedei Rabas Yoma Nami Mifgam Pogma. He's of the opinion that there's always an immediate reduction. Even immediately, so he'll say that there's already going to be some reduction. Rami le Rav Amram le Rav Sheshes. We have a conflict in Braises. Tanan, we have a Mishnah that says Hashipudin ve'askel malabnon be'ur. That when it comes to skewers and grills, we said those were exposed to fire. They need to be cleaned by fire. However, v'hatnan gabe kachim. By the world of kachim, we have another statement. Hashipud ve'askela, same items, but what does it say over there? Mag ilan bechamin. You do hagala, stira. So says the Gemara. Amar Lei says Amram Beria. Amram, my son. Ma inyan kachim etzel giule ovdei kochavim. This could be our supplanting comment of Ma inyan shmeit etzel harsina. If you want to be super firm about it, this is your new replacement line. Yeah, how that's about. It's like a flex. Ma inyan kachim etzel giule ovdei kochavim. So says the Gemara. After all, the cases are very different. Why are the cases different? Because hacha by kachim hetera bala. What was absorbed in the kachim? Food that's absolutely mutter, kosher to eat. It's kachim. You can't eat it necessarily, but it's food that's kosher. But hasam, when you're talking about a grill that you got from a goy, isura bala. It's not even a level playing field. You're comparing a case of a kli that came from a goy to a kli that was used for kachim. One is tarfis d'oraisa and the other is perfectly kosher.
Kachim, not bottle with anything at all ever, and the other is.
Well, good, but the Gemara is not even going to get that far because the next line that we're going to see is going to explain why kachim is still problematic. Omar Rava, he says, well, sof ki kapalit, when in fact there are blios that are extracted from the walls, isura palit. Even by the kachim, it's nosar. So even before we get to any bittul, it's already, by the time you're done with the time frame, it's still isser. Nosar is an isser daraisa, chazar is an isser daraisa. So they're both asr. So you might want to tell me that they're different because when it was bala, it was hetera bala. Who cares? When it's polate, it's isura palat. It doesn't matter. So therefore, Ela Amar Rava, my Hagala Nami, Shtifa Marika. This is Hagala that we talk about is rinsing. It's not in place of, it's in addition to. So you need Libun and you need Hagala. Amar Le Abaye Midami. How can you say that these two things are even part of the same sugya? How can you say that this version of Hagala, Shtifa Marika, is similar to Libun? After all, Marika v'shtifa bitzonin, Hagala b'chamin. The word Hagala cannot come to represent shtifa bitzonin. So let's try another answer for our stira in Mishnayos. Ela Amar Abaye Yagid Alav Reo. We have two things, one's learning from the other. Tana Hachalibun. We learn about the shipudin and the askala, the skewers and the grills from the world of the goy, where we say, yes, you need libun. V'hu adin hagala. You also need hagala. And then Tanan Hasam Hagala, but Adin Libun. There we you're right. Halachos are said differently, but both are applicable. We need to do Libun and we need to do Hagala. We need to do both, a double level. I don't think we would say that Lamaisa today. I would say Libun is even stronger than Hagala. But nevertheless, let's continue. That's what the Gemara says, that perhaps that both halachos are true. This is true and that's true. You're right and you're right. So the Gemara says a third of the way down. If that's true, then just teach the halachos properly. Have one Mishnah say both, and then and then have one of the other Mishnahs just say one of them. But we'll know from the other Mishnah. But if you just say that one Mishnah says that it needs to be libun, and the other Mishnah says it needs to be agala, that you'd ever connect the two. So the Gemara therefore shifts to its third answer as to how we answer up the stira of Shipudin and Askala, where by non-kosher kalim we would have said malabnan be'or, and by kodshim we say that we're magilan bechamin. So the Gemara says halfway down, Al Amar Rav kodshim, hainu ta'amayu kid Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua. Amar kol yom ve'om yom nasa gi'u lechavero. Don't worry, these kalim get used every day. They never become no same time lefgam. They're always fresh. It's always within 24 hours. Says the Gemara, that works for some kinds of foods. Tenach shlamim that have a longer expiration date. Tenach shlamim, the kevin to the shnei yamim misachli, because they can be eaten for 2 days and one night. So mekame didn't have a nosar, kahavigil. Before they turn into nosar, we'll use them again. And you never have to worry about it because shlamim always has 2 days. There's no way that Beis HaMikdash is going to go 2 days without using the kli. Whenever they rinsed out their klis quickly, maybe Bekoshi Rav, they just kept using the same grill over and over again. They used the same pan over and over again. So don't worry. Elachatas, but when we talk about achatas, which has a much shorter shelf life, kevan de yom v'layla misachla, there aren't shnei yamim like there was by shlamim. It's only 1 day. So kimevashel bo ha'id nachatas havenosar. So now, if I did yesterday's chatas, and now I'm doing today's chatas, so the blios from yesterday are nosar. I could understand by shlamim. I get it. By shlamim, you could have it be that the pot is used so consistently that you never really have no same time lefkam. I get it. It's just not true by achatas. So the Gemara says, Ki hadam ravasha lamachar. When you are cooking the next day, o shlamim ochatas, the next day, whatever you're cooking, kapalit nosar dechatas te'ina bechatas, ushlamim dilamachar. So this is just exacerbating the issue, is that you're never going to have a scenario with a chatas that whatever nosar it lets out the next day is always going to be a problem for the next food. So Amri, the Gemara says, Lo tzricha dechi mevashil bo chatas ha'idna, hader mevashil bo ha'idna shlamim. If you used the chatas kli today, protocol was to also use it for a shlamim that day. You'd never be in a scenario where you'd have nosar within 24 hours. That's how the Gemara circumvents this concern of having this scenario of having blios that would be aser. And the Gemara articulates still further. The next day that was a chatas, but the day before was a shlamim. So their expiration dates are the same. If you do a shlamim yesterday and a chatas today, so then tomorrow is the deadline for both foods, because it's 2 days for the shlamim, which was yesterday, 1 day for the chatas, which is today. The expiration date is tomorrow for both. So then, says the Gemara, if all of this is true, we never really need hagala in these cases because we've figured out a whole system to circumvent it. Just constantly cook within 24 hours. You'll never have a problem. You'll be fine. Even you're good to go. You'll never have nosar. So the Gemara says, kasha, it's takom. You're asking good. You're asking good. And the Gemara doesn't provide an answer. The Gemara gives yet another possible answer to the steer in the Mishnayos that we learned at the top. Let's review yet again. That Rav Amram had asked Rav Sheshes that we have Shipudin and Askala, we have the skewers and we have the grills. In one case, we said Malabnon, or that they need to be, that we need Libun. In the other Shita, it said that it needed to be Magi'ilan Bechamin. So Rav Papa, 9 lines from the bottom, says, Amar Hai Karid, Hai Lo Karid. When one is not being used regularly, the food hardens inside the walls. When one is being used regularly, then lo karid. So that would also be a distinction. If it hardens, then you need libun. If it's softer, then you can use hagala. Rav Ashi gives yet another answer. This is our fifth answer. Rav Ashi Olam kedamran me'ikara. Really, we're going to go back to answer number one. Hacha hetera bala, hacha isura bala. Hey, hold on one second. You can't give that answer. We rejected that already. So says the Gemara, but wait one second. We said that by Kodshim, that when the blios come out, that's no sar already. That's already Isser. Who cares if the Chazer is the blia or if the no sar is the blia? They're both Isser Doraisa. It doesn't matter. Who cares if it was Hetera Bala? So says the Gemara, difficult answer. Be'idna de kapali lo iseli isura be'enem. It says that which is coming out of the kli is not Isser Mamish. The blia is not considered food. It's not a ma'achal. It's just a blia. So it's a lower temperature is not a good phrase to use. It's its own thing. It's a tam. It's just a flavoring. The koshi.
The tam of not food.
It's a tam with gum.
It's not be'ein.
It's not bad. Yeah.
It's not be'ein. That's no.
It has no physicality to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I told you, it's a difficult answer. Before I said the answer.
Tam.
Yeah. But I mean, look
It's
in the chemical space. One little dot can flavor a whole thing,
Grab us.
right? So that's what the Gemara says. Is therefore the first answer that we posited is that it's okay because it's less be mamashus anyways. All right, ve'ad kama malabnon. How long should we do libun for? Amar Rav Mani ad shetasher klipas until the outer layer peels off. Some of the meforshim over here, not here, but generally speaking here, speak about this as the outer layer of a piece of metal turning white or red or getting brighter with a different color due to the heat. That would be libun chamor. What we do typically is called libun kal. So let's say the grates that we have on top of our ovens, there's no way to get those to change colors. I don't care what fire you put on them. They're not changing colors. Those are hardened, shebe hardened. They're not changing colors. So what we do is we have two different things. We have libun kal and libun chamor. Libun kal is basically turning on the fire the same way that it was used. Libun chamor is like putting it in the cleaning mode of the oven where it's like 600 degrees, which is hotter than any cooking we do during the year. Fine. The Kate said, Magilan, how do we do Hagala? Amarav Ravuna, Yora Katana Besoch Yora Gdola. This is literally what we do. We take a kli that fits inside a larger kli. We take the non-kosher kli and we put it inside the larger kli, and then we're good to go. At Kins, they do this. They have this massive vat. It's many feet tall, a couple of feet wide, dozens of gallons of water. Rabbi Matenki's in these rubber gloves, and he's doing the Agalas Kalim. What about a Yora Gdola? How do you get that pot clean? Yora Gdola Mai. At some point, there's the biggest kli in the room, I presume. Says the Gemara, Tashma Dahu Duda, there was a pot, the Havoi be Rabbi Akavia. And Rabbi Akava had it. Hadar Le, what did he do in order to clean this pot? It was so big. What he did is he put on it Gidanfa Delisha Apuma, Rashi, Gidanfa Delisha, Safa Shel Isa, Svivos Piha. He put bread at the top of the pot, Umil Hamayim back in the Gemara Ve'artacha, and then he boiled all the water, and this worked. Rashi gives it a little bit more color, because otherwise, what's the point of the bread? Rashi says, K'desha tekabel mayim harbe. That way, it can build up, meaning the pot can then have more water. You have to build up water above the lid of the metal.
Well,
You're raising the edge of the pot so that the water can overflow.
they fill it up all the way, and then they put a piece of bread in so it overflows a little bit.
They add crust at the edge of the pot to make it so there's another inch of space to add water.
How would they cash it for Pesach?
So it's not for Pesach. We're not talking about Pesach.
It would be the same
100%, yeah,
No?
100%. They'd have to use something that's made from rice flour. I don't know. They have to come up with a solution. Or it's less than 18 minutes if you really want to get shady. That's pretty shady.
Pizza
Yeah.
matzah and then
Seriously.
brachs.
It's gebracht.
Done.
Let's do it. It's not flammable. It's mostly water, I know, seriously. So the Gemara says that's what he would do. And then it koshered everything that was considered acceptable, which is interesting because this Yoreh Gedola was never submerged. It had water flow over its edges, but it was never fully submerged in water, like we would have assumed was required. So says the Gemara, Omar Rava, top of Ayin Vava Midbeis, Man Chakim Lemeva Kia Milsa. Who's the brilliant one who did such a thing? Ilav Rebakavia de Gavra Rabahu, de Kosavar, excuse me, what does he hold? Kibolo Kach Polto. Like it absorbed the Isser, Kach Polto, so too it expunges the Isser. Who cooks with a pot inside another pot underwater? No, you cook a pot on a stove and stuff splatters over. That's how you cook. So why can't you kosher that way? So he was a literalist. He said, that's how you cook. So just cook that way. And when the water spills over, it'll kosher whatever isser is there. No problem at all. That's what he says. Ma bolo benitzotzos. Just like it absorbs with water splattering. Af polto benitzotzos. So too it expunges that which it absorbed through splattering. What? Yeah. I don't make chocolate. What does that mean?
The way one could make.
Oh, you're right, Michael. This is not Torah. This piece was not Torah. I agree.
Then we end 10 minutes early anyway.
True. All right. So the Gemara says 5 lines down on Ayin Vavam and Beis. We're 5 lines down. Hasakin Safa V'Hitahora. Hasakin Shafa. Excuse me. We sharpen a knife. And then it's kosher. So let's say you do buy a knife from a garage sale from a guy. You just push it, have to sharpen it, and that is sufficient. It's interesting because that doesn't necessarily cover the whole blade. It's only the sharp part of the blade. What about the rest of it? The Gemara is being simplistic about it. I'm sure there's other halachos. If you see grime and gross stuff, you probably have to do hagala also. If the knife's ever been used for davar charev, I don't know. It's a very limited halacha. It's not robust. And then the Gemara adds in a little bit more. Amar of Ukva bar Chama v'noatza asara pe'amim bekarka. You're supposed to basically take the knife and shove it into the ground 10 times. That is one way that we clean a knife with. It's considered to be the abrasive of old. But the Gemara says, Amar of Huna bereder of Yeshua v'karka sheina avuda. It's not like soft dirt that you'll find in like a flower pot. We're talking about the dirt that you don't water ever by the end of the summer. It's hard as a brick and dried out. That's the kind of dirt you want to use because it has this abrasive aspect to it, and it can clean off the knife.
In Poland, it was not uncommon to find knife pots in people's kitchens.
There's been a misnomer even here in America that I've seen in people's homes where I've seen them with knives just sitting in dirt, Pasha sitting there.
And some people have flowers, some people have plants.
Yeah, that's right. But could you imagine what the people who are guests who don't know anything about those people also don't know anything about Judaism because that's not correct. That's not the halacha. No. You're not supposed to grow it in a pot, but it's supposed to be neitza bekarka. But this misnomer has occurred over the years that people would take their knives and leave it in dirt. It's not the din. It's a playoff of this, but it's a very poor execution. But that's what the Gemara says. Amar of Kahana was sakin yafeh she'ein bahen gumos. This only works. I guess this a little bit answers what I was saying earlier. This only works with a knife that doesn't have a lot of pock marks in it, a lot of holes in it. Tanya nam yachav b'brayse sakin yafeh she'ein bagumos noatza asar pamim bekarka. Amar Rav Huna berei Rav Yeshua le'echel batzonin, only to eat cold things. The Gemara tells a story, and this story will bring us to the end of the parak and end of the Masechta. Kiha de I'll slow down now. Kiha de Mar Yehuda Ubati Bar Tuvi. These two Yidden, Mar Yehuda and Bati Bar Tuvi, Havu Yasve Kamed Shvor Malka. Shvor Malka was a non-Jewish king. But he was holding cup and Shulchan Aruch Shachs and Tazis. He knew what was going on. He knew how to learn. Aisu lekamayhu esroga. They brought an esrog to him. Pasak achal. He cut a piece off for himself and he ate it. And then pasak, he cut another piece. V'havle lebati bartuvi. And then he handed it to Bati Bartuvi. Then hadar dotza asar zimne be'ara. Then he cleaned off the knife by stabbing it in the ground 10 times. And then he cut pasak. He cut again. And then havle lemar Yehuda. So for Mar Yehuda, he kashered the knife, but For Bati Bartuvi, he didn't kasher the knife first. So let's get it clear. He gave him a piece that was cut with the pre-kashered knife, and he gave Mar Yehuda only after he did an Eitz Bekarka. So he Amar Le Bati Bartuvi Va'u Gavra Lav Bar Yisrael. You don't think I'm a yid? Why are you? Why did you kasher after me and before Mar Yehuda? I keep halacha also. What's wrong with you? So Amar Le Mar Kimli Begave, Omar Lo Kimli Begave. So Rashi says Mar Kimli Begave. Rabbi Yehuda Makir Ani Bo Shu Parush V'Lo Yochal Davar Iser. I know he won't need anything Asr. Aval Bach Any Muchzak Shete Parush Kol Kach. I didn't know you were so from. Thought you were a conservative. I didn't know. I had no idea, Pasha. These guys look exactly the same. He had no way to distinguish.
The din of kashrus is any less if the guy's not conservative.
Shvur Malka didn't know the guy was so from. He didn't know. Shvur Malka is not worried about Lifnei Iver Lo Siten Michshol. He doesn't care. He said, I didn't think you were as orthodox as that guy. I've been offered. I've been.
Forgotten, right?
Lifnei Iver. Lifnei Iver by Iver.
To that.
That Gemara early in Avodah Zara, that's the Avav that says you cannot be Moshit Aver Minachai Lenachri. Yeah, but the Isser is on us to give it to them. The Chiddush is that it was to a goy.
So there's no problem with the.
I've never thought about your question. It's just not what the Gemara was talking about.
Right.
Could be that it's Asr. I mean, maybe by an Isser that applies to both of us. If they're Machshel in Avodah Zara, do they get Lifnei Iver? No, they're Mesi Sumiliach. They get killed. It's not Lifnei Iver. Much worse.
Yeah.
Much worse. Anyways, Bati Bar Tubi was like, well, this is not fair. You just think I look less observant? I don't know. But the second answer is much worse than the first answer. First answer.
Of a non-Jew kashering versus a Jew kashering.
What?
No, it's with a non-Jew kashering versus a Jew kashering. No.
I don't see why it matters. You have to know the halachos. There has to be a shmira, I presume, to make sure it's done well. As if bracha.
What?
It was for Malka. That's why he kashered it.
What's cold? What he's cutting a piece of
Right now it's cold, but he might have used it for treif. So the halacha is like we saw a few lines ago. You have to do an eitz of a karka. If you have a buy a knife from a guy, you have to do an eitz of a karka. Davar charif is a big concern because then this won't solve that problem. Nothing solves that one. Oh, the esrog. Yeah. Correct. Makes it 10 times worse. First of all, never by davar charif. By the way, some poskim say sour apples are davar charif. Yeah, davar charif actually is not a simple parameter because there's a lot of what is it? Is it based on citrus? Like it's not what we all think it is necessarily. Like sour apples, they're sour, but they're not a lemon, But we're pretty makbid on. But its onions are the most typical. Garlic, yeah, for sure.
would be
Lemons,
lemon type.
limes. What would be definite?
An
An esrog, yeah. I've never eaten one. Yeah, could be. So concern number one was that Bati Bartubi just wasn't as stark from the lens of Shvur Malka. It wasn't as stark as Mar Yehuda. The second answer is just terrible, though. He could amre that Amar Le Idkar Mai Avadet Beurta. I know what you did last night. I didn't write this. I'm just translating. I did not translate that way. Idkar, I know. Look at Rashi. Derech Parsim Limsor Noshem La'achsanoim. It was common for them to give their guests a woman. When the women were sent to their rooms, Sha'avar, Kibel Bati, Rabbi Yehuda lo Kibel. So he said, if you're willing to cohabit with the Persian woman that we gave you, I didn't think you were going to be so makbid on kashrus. So I cut you a piece of esrog before I kashered it. That's what Rashi says.
About 10 blot ago, we discussed how, just because someone is over one Isser.
Maskem, Shvur Malka is a goy. He's a goy. He's not, you're thinking in halachic terms. Shvur Malka is a goy. No, he's not.
He's holding
he knows more than all of us, but he's a goy d'oraisa. It's krum thinking. He's still a goy. It's krum thinking. But you're right. We call people hypocrites, but klape shmaya, you can have a yetzer hara over here, but not over there. That's not totally reasonable. Yeah. We saw that. It was on the top of an Amud Aleph somewhere that there was a Yetzer Hara.
Oh.
Yeah. That's my red line. That's my red line.
You did the whole thing.
I don't know if it's.
Huh?
Maybe you would, like, maybe he knew he wasn't gonna eat it, but if like, he was like.
Could be.
eating it.
Could be. And by the way, the elephant in the room here is the Davar Charet, because that should have been a prominent piece of this Gemara, but the Gemara doesn't speak about it at all. Okay, Hadron Alech Hasorches Apol, Uslika La Maseches Avodah Zara, Baruch Hashem, Emir Hashem, tomorrow night we'll have a siyum, and we will also learn the first blot of Maseches Horios. When I asked Rabbi Robinson, I've never learned Horios, is it hard? He said, it's 13 blot. So I said, thank you. It's very comforting. Wishing you all a beautiful night.